Welcome back to Midnight Signal AI. Today is June 1st, 2026, and we're tracking the latest AI shifts from model launches to hardware power plays and some bigger questions about cost, jobs, and scale.
There's a clear pattern in today's batch. Frontier labs are still shipping, but the economics around them are getting louder. We've got a fresh Claude update, Nvidia's Computex spotlight, and a few stories that show how AI is colliding with budgets, labor, and infrastructure.
Let's start with Anthropic, because even though we covered Claude Opus 4.8 earlier this week, there's a new write-up from ETI EdTech News that keeps the model in the center of the coding agent conversation.
What stands out is that the story is no longer just Anthropic launched a model. It's now about whether Claude can keep the coding agent lead long enough for teams to build habits around it. That kind of usage mode can matter more than a benchmark headline.
And because the article comes through ETI EdTech News, it also hints at a broader audience than just hardcore developers. If Claude's agentic tooling keeps landing in education and training workflows, Anthropic gets another lane for adoption beyond pure enterprise software. Switching gears to hardware, PCMag says you can watch Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang's Computex 2026 keynote, and Reuters says he's likely to dominate the Taipei gathering. That's a reminder that in AI, the chip story and the model story are still tightly linked.
That's the thing with Nvidia now. A keynote isn't just a product event, it's a market event. People are watching for clues about where the next wave of demand goes, who gets access, and whether the bottleneck is still chips, packaging, or power.
And Reuters' framing matters because Computex is where hardware, cloud, and device makers all start signaling to each other. Even without a surprise launch, Huang's presence can shape expectations for the rest of the AI supply chain. Now to pricing. XDA says Google's Gemini 3.5 Flash costs 3 times the model it replaced, and that's a meaningful signal, even if the model is still positioned as the cheaper, faster tier. The era of cheap AI may be getting harder to defend.
That's a big shift because the cheap and good enough layer has been one of the most important parts of the AI market. If the middle tier gets more expensive, product teams have to make harder decisions about what they automate, what they reserve for premium users, and where they draw the line on margin.
And Google doesn't have to lose on this move for the market to feel it. Sometimes a pricing change is really a signal that the underlying compute stack got more expensive, or that Google thinks the model is good enough to charge more. Either way, everyone else takes note. Staying with OpenAI leadership commentary, MSN is carrying 2 takes from Sam Altman saying AI job losses are happening more slowly than he predicted, and that earlier fears were overstated. That's a notable softening from the more dramatic labor narratives we've heard.
That's important because the conversation has moved from whether AI can replace work to when and where it does it. If the timeline stretches out, companies get more room to integrate tools gradually, but the social and political questions don't disappear just because the curve is slower.
And there's a second layer here. If executives start walking back the most extreme predictions, that can reduce panic, but it can also make forecasts sound less credible overall. For OpenAI and everyone else, the challenge is talking about real disruption without turning every interview into a future shock headline. Next, Yahoo Finance says Meta added new subscriptions and that Zuckerberg got $7 billion richer. The wealth number is obviously about the stock move, but the broader point is Meta keeps using AI, subscriptions, and platform packaging to strengthen the business story.
Meta always has the advantage of multiple distribution points. If one product line slows, another can carry the story. The risk is that markets start asking for a clearer path from AI spending to durable cash flow, not just a bigger number on the CapEx slide.
That connects to the bigger market picture. If subscriptions rise while AI infrastructure spending keeps climbing, Meta may be trying to prove it can build a business where the model layer, the app layer, and the compute layer all reinforce each other. That's a very different pitch from pure ad growth. Finally, there's a Musk-heavy set of headlines. RBC-Ukraine says Musk wants to launch 1 million AI satellites, with Forbes raising catastrophe concerns in orbit. And Bloomberg says SpaceX's IPO is forcing Wall Street to reorganize around it. That combination says a lot about how far the infrastructure ambition is gone.
That's a striking pairing. The satellite story is the moonshot version of AI infrastructure, and the IPO story is the financial version. Put together, they show that AI is no longer just about models competing in a browser tab. It's about who controls compute, connectivity, and capital at planetary scale.
And with Musk, the headline risk is always that the ambition sounds sci-fi until enough pieces start moving at once. Whether you're talking satellites, self-driving, or public market structure, the pattern is the same. Build the system so big that everyone else has to organize around it.
Across all these stories, the pattern is pretty clear. The frontier is still moving, but the business model around the frontier is getting more expensive, more strategic, and more politically visible. The winners are not just the best models, they're the teams that can pair capability with distribution, pricing discipline, and infrastructure control.
That's the thread we'll keep watching. Model quality, yes, but also the economics of serving it, the labor impact of deploying it, and the scale of the infrastructure behind it. Thanks for listening to Midnight Signal AI. This has been your Midnight Signal. See you in 24 hours.